Does your work energize you? Does it make your impact on the world? Welcome to Start Anew, the show that looks beyond success into freedom, fulfillment, and your passion-driven career. Join your host, Sumbul Sang, for inspiring stories and bite-sized training to help you start anew with clarity. And now, here is Sumbul.
Let's shift gears now, put your coaching hat on, and let's coach starters how they can start anew fearlessly and courageously. I was just reading your guide, 21 Steps to Finding Confidence. I loved it. There is just so much in there that resonated with me, and I had these moments, yeah, I know I do these things, and they've really helped me be confident, but then there are these so many things that I have never thought about, and now I realize they're holding me back. And I need to start working on them. We don't have the time to discuss all 21 steps, but we will make sure that we have a link to that guide on the show notes for the page for our audience. What would you say is the place to start for anyone who wants to start anew, but their lack of confidence is holding them back?
Yes, such a great question. I would say confidence is huge. It's important, but it's also intangible. You can't touch it and feel it, so it's hard to think about it. So let me give you something easier to think about. Ask yourself what it is that you want, and this can also be a hard one. It's okay if you don't know what you want, and then ask yourself what it is you don't want in your life right now. And that's an easy one. Any one of us can start writing down, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want that, but take the exercise seriously. Really write down 10, 20, 30 things that you no longer want to have in your life. This could be anything from I don't want to feel tired all the time to I don't want to be financially strapped. I don't want to have a boss. I don't want to work on this project. I don't want to get home at 5 after an hour in traffic, whatever the case may be. And that needs to tell you what you need to do, the desire you feel, the depth of desire you feel for the things you don't want, which then leads you to create the life that you do want. That needs to tell you whether you are just in a sort of a funk and it may pass. You know, some of us go through that. My mom loves her job, but every now and then she's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm like, no, you're not. You are just tired. You really love your job. There isn't a systemic issue here to address. But there are those of us who and based on what shows up on that piece of paper, on what you don't want and how badly you want to get out of your situation, that tells you whether you really are ready to take action. So lack of confidence doesn't hold us back so much. I think it's lack of clarity. Yes, it's great to be confident, but if you are clear on what it is that you need to create for yourself and why, then few things can get in your way. It's like a determined mother, right, who needs to go and feed their child. I mean, there's no question. The child needs to eat. They need to get the food. It's like a task. It's very clear. She doesn't need confidence to do that. And I know I'm using a simple example, but if you get that level of clarity, for me, it was that I do not want to have a boss. And I had a great boss, but I'm no longer going to have a boss. It's a non-negotiable in my book. So let me think. I can't have a job because every job, even a CEO, has to report to the board of directors. That's out. So what does that leave me? And how badly do I not want to have a boss? You can't imagine how badly. So that was my condition. Some people live perfectly happily with their bosses and no problems there. What is your condition? A lot of people I work with, they have families, small children, and the non-negotiable for them is they don't want to miss their children's childhood, the time they could be spending with their families. So that becomes a non-negotiable, and it takes a little bit of work to figure that out. So on the surface, the first 5 or 6 things you write on the piece of paper, they may not be really the deep things that you don't want. You need to keep going until you hit more of your subconscious. So that exercise, if you want something practical, write down 30 things you don't want anymore, and then go rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. 1, so 10 is like a highest priority. What is the priority? How important is it to eradicate that from your life? And I promise you, and you can come and tell me if it's not the case, you will be more confident at the end of that exercise alone because you will have more clarity.
The lack of clarity is what holds so many people from actually doing something different in their lives. When they realize they're a little bit unhappy, but they have got no idea why. Mm-hmm. And it is absolutely the starting point to starting anew. Now, something that I have been reading about quite a lot lately is the psychology of confidence, and especially how it relates to women. I've been seeing a lot of evidence. Us women, we think a lot about what other people say, how they're going to judge us, what are they going to think of us if I start something and I fail at it. Whenever you're thinking about starting something new, there's always a chance that, it won't work out. I mean, that is just simple mathematics, right? Mm-hmm. But I've noticed a lot that men often go into it thinking, hey, I'll figure it out. And if it doesn't work, we'll figure out what to do next. Whereas women are sitting there frozen in their tracks thinking, oh my God, what if I fail? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is your view on that?
I do relate to it because it's when we think of it that way, failure is very scary and no one wants to fail. I like to see how we would think about it. This is what I've started to tell myself. And it's not just failure in business, but also any areas of life. Anything you try, be it a yoga pose, you want to achieve whatever milestone in life. I say to myself, well, just don't do it, right? Just take it off the table. Just don't do it. If it's such a big deal and you would be embarrassed. And then if it's important enough, it comes back and it shows up again and again and it just itches at me, right? So I have to scratch it. So if it's so important to you that you can't not do it, right? You can't stop thinking about it, then that's a sign that you need to do something differently. And I would say, think about what would happen if you fail miserably. Right? And really, really try to visualize it. Really imagine what is the worst outcome? What is the worst things people will say and do? And can you survive that? Will that be okay? Are you willing to take the chance? And of course, our worst case scenario never comes true. But let's just imagine it and see whether you're okay with that. And really think about that. And sometimes we are not, right? That may tell you that, look, you really care about what your parents think, which is okay, or what your spouse thinks, and you are not willing to take a chance to do something that would really irritate them or annoy them or disrespect them. And that may be where your value lies. I mean, to me, it's not so black and white. It's more about, okay, where are your values? But if it comes down to you being okay with the consequences of the worst outcome, which again, hardly ever comes true, then what is stopping you? What needs to happen for you to feel good enough to do it? What conditions need to come together? Ask yourself and see what comes up. Maybe you need to have some support, somebody who believes in you. Maybe you need to be told that it's going to be okay. Maybe you need a reminder, an accountability partner. Maybe you need to know how to go about it. Maybe it's a lack of skills or knowledge. That makes you more confident. That pushes the fear of failure in the background more. You will know whether you're ready to do it or not.
What you've just said is this perfect combination of mindset and strategy. You just laid it out there. You've just dropped some value bombs there for me, certainly, and I'm sure for many of our listeners. You're talking about embracing our fears. Face it. And I know from experience that when we faced our fears, it doesn't hold us back anymore. Farnoosh, thank you for joining us, inspiring us, and coaching us today. Before we wrap up, what is your parting piece of guidance to those who want to start anew in life? Share the best way we can connect with you online and then we'll say goodbye.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I would say my parting advice is very simple. And if you remember nothing else from the whole talk we had here, trust yourself. Trust yourself to do right by yourself and be responsible for that outcome, because you're going to be the one staring in the mirror in your golden age. There's not going to be parents around, and you're going to be facing yourself later in life, and you need to feel good and confident about what you're going to say to yourself and how you lived your life. So trust yourself. You are smarter, braver, stronger than you think you are. If you would like to connect with me online and continue this conversation or start a new one, first of all, download a couple of gifts I have for you. One of them is on prolificliving.com/confident, which is going to give you the 21-step confidence building guide that Sumbul mentioned earlier. And the other one is a set of audio affirmations that I really believe can help set the right tone for your day, for the morning. And those are at prolificliving.com/believe. BELIEVE. You can find me. Prolific Living is my handle name everywhere online, and I'd love to connect with you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Start Anew Show. We invite you to be more than a passive listener. Be a starter. Join our community and snag exclusive freebies from Sumbul and her guests at letstartanew.com. Create your vision of freedom and fulfillment right here on the Start Anew Show.